Okay, so let's continue with this. So now what we want to do is we want to get our various, we want to get our marginal costs, and we also want to get our average costs. Okay, so let's put them all here. So we're trying to get our average fixed cost, average variable cost, average total cost, and our marginal cost. Okay, so let's start with what these are. And we're going to do some comparisons. So our average fixed cost is our fixed cost divided by our quantity. And I won't show you the calculations here, but this one is just going to, so the total cost is here, just to kind of emphasize something important. So this one is just going to be falling. Okay, so we can't do it for 0. And then here, it's going to be, well, how much fixed cost? That's 1,000. And then times, divided by the quantity, which is 60. Now, don't make the mistake a lot of students do here. They divide the 1,000 by 1 because there's one worker. But again, for cost, we're not concerned about the number of workers now. We're only concerned about how much cost we have compared to how much quantity we can produce. So this ends up being 16.6. Okay. Well, repeating, and then 909, 6.6. 5.71, 5.41, 5.26. And so notice something. It's just going down and down and down. So the average fixed cost is just falling. And that always happens. And the reason it always happens is because the fixed cost stays the same, but the quantity goes up. Okay, so as long as the quantity keeps going up, then the average fixed cost is going to keep falling. And so that makes sense. So basically what's happening here is the more of your product you produce, the more you spread these fixed costs over a bigger quantity. Okay, so then the next thing is our average variable cost, which is the variable cost over the quantity. And so again, we're dividing them. We're dividing this variable cost by the quantity. Again, we're not dividing it by the labor. We're dividing by the quantity produced. And so we're going to see our average variable cost starts at 333, and then it starts to rise. So again, this is 200 divided by 60, and this is 400 divided by 110. Okay, so we're going from there. So we get 4, and we get 4.57, 5.41. They cross, and then we get 6.32. So the average variable cost is getting higher and higher and higher. The reason it's getting higher is because because of the diminishing marginal product of labor. So the marginal product of labor causes the rising average variable cost. Okay, because you're hiring more and more workers, so you're getting more and more expense, but the extra production of each worker is less and less, right? So your expenses, your variable cost is growing faster than what you're producing, right? So you're adding more and more workers, but they're not adding that much more production, and so then that part is your expenses from wages are rising at a faster rate than your production is rising. Okay, that's the idea here. Okay, average total cost is these two together. Well, you can do it directly by taking total cost and divide by quantity, or you can just add the two parts together. Either way is okay. So our average total cost 20, and then we get to 1273 and 10.6, 10.29, 10.81, and then 11.58. And so we notice something. It falls and then rises. So it's falling and then it's rising. Okay, so that's the second thing. I'll make a note at the bottom. We have a U-shaped average total cost, right? And so this is very common. And so why is it U-shaped? Well, the average fixed cost is pulling down, right? So because you're dividing the average fixed cost by a bigger and bigger amount, but the variable cost is pulling it back up, right? So that's eventually, so it's pulling down. At first, average fixed cost is falling quickly. Variable cost eventually rises and pulls it up, right? And pulls this up. Okay. The final thing we want to do here is our marginal cost. So our marginal cost is our change of our total cost. Not the total cost, it's the change of the total cost compared to the change in the quantity. Okay, so this is our marginal cost. So you can have a, so then we go from there, and then, well, our cost changed by 200 and we divide by 60, so this is going to be the same as the average variable cost. The rest will not. And then our cost changed by, so here our cost changed by 200. Sorry, we can go to total. Our cost changed by 200 and our quantity changed by 60, so we're dividing by this. And then our cost changed by 200, but our quantity only changed by 50. And our cost changed by 200, but our quantity only changed by 40, and so on. So the cost change is the same, but the quantity change is getting smaller and smaller. All right, so that's going to cause this to go up because the bottom part is getting smaller and smaller. So then it's 5, and then 8, and then 20, and then 40. So notice it rises quite quickly. So marginal cost eventually rises quickly as the marginal product of labor becomes very small. So that's eventually happens. Marginal product of labor becomes very small, and the marginal cost eventually starts to rise quickly because of that. So the reason it's doing is because, again, your cost is going up by 200 every time you add a worker, but your production is going up slowly. You add the worker for 200, but they only produce 10. So then that's going to make your marginal cost go up. So those pizzas start to get very expensive at the edge. And you can probably guess what's going to happen is you're not going to end up adding 6 workers. If this was, we're not there yet, we'll get there in a few weeks, but a firm wouldn't choose to produce the 190 pizzas they can get with 6 workers just because it's not efficient. The last ones are too expensive. The last ones are costing you $40 a pizza to produce. So they would probably end up stopping, depending on the demand, they'll probably end up stopping at 3 or 4 workers in this case. So, okay. We'll stop there. I will add a little bit of notes into the, oh, no, one more thing. Let me draw a general sketch of this thing. And then we'll add a little bit of notes into the text as well. So in general, so this one ends up looking like this. I'm not going to draw exact numbers. I'm just going to sketch it. So it ends up looking like this. Our average fixed cost is falling. Our average variable cost is rising, right? Our total cost, our average total cost, which is these two added together, takes on this kind of U shape. And our marginal cost, which I'll put in red, starts here. So I'll come back to the next video and talk about this relationship between the marginal cost and average cost. Let's go ahead and take a break here.